Let's do it. Ooh. How do I start this? I've been living in a van now for a year. I went on the road 1 week after Easter 2018, so about the second week of April, something like that. And I'm going to answer some questions that have been put to me by other VanLife colleagues and commenters. I've gone through the comments going back as far as I can. If there's any more questions that you've got, you can put them in the comments and I will do my best to answer all of them. Okay. The most difficult thing about living in a van is water. Where to find water, where to get water. It's the thing that I stress about the most. I mostly just buy bottled water. I don't shower or wash in the van anymore, so now I just buy bottled water. The cheap 17p bottles from supermarkets. That's usually where I get my water from. Do I miss bricks and mortar? No, I don't actually. It's not very often that I spend any time sleeping in a house, and I find it a bit weird actually when I'm sleeping in a house, because I've gotten used to sleeping in a van, and I have that thing where I wake up, where am I, and I've got over that in the van. But now when I'm in a house, I don't sleep very well at all, because I wake up and I'm in a bed that's not moving with the wind, or there's no passing traffic, or it's very quiet, or there's unfamiliar sounds of people's central heating. My happiest moment, I think, is probably this weekend. This weekend we're at Camp Gadget, and with other vanners, VanLifers, full-timers, part-timers, a great mix of people here. We did a live stream yesterday and I was just bouncing around, high on life. This has been my happiest weekend. Scariest moment would probably be taking water from a cemetery, filling up 2 jerry cans with water from a cemetery and running away. But yeah, I really needed water, and I was full-time in the van at the time. Yeah, not working, no other access to water.
Flowers under one arm and 2 barrels of water.
Do I have any regrets living in a van? None at all. None at all. I think I would have regretted not doing it, in fact. I decided very quickly that I was going to live in a van. Within a month of me making the decision that I was going to live in a van, I'd bought a van and I was already working on it. I started recording the building of the van the day after I bought it. The part of the van I like the best is probably the cab. I've not had to do much to it, and what I have done is mostly just changing little plugs and sockets. The back of the van is my home. The front of my van is the vehicle. I treat it as 2 separate places. They're 2 separate things. I love to drive, so that's my favourite part of the van.
Why is the sheep in the background?
Why are there sheep in the background? There are always sheep in the videos. What's going on? There were sheep everywhere. The sheep thing is... I'm suddenly
prominent now.
Being a townie, I'd seen sheep, but I'd never touched a sheep, and I've always wanted to just grab hold of them and feel what the wool's like. But they're very nervous and they don't like people, which makes me want to try harder. I started living in a van a really miserable person. I was maybe a year out of a relationship that was unkind, and I was in a really bad place. So I haven't found myself, I've just rediscovered myself. I'm closer to how I was as a young man. Would I do anything differently? I would have got a smaller van, a shorter van, a smaller van, tall, like a high roof, but shorter, I think. This van is way too big for a single man. Because I don't want people in the comments offering me their cock. I think some people they try to recreate their home in a small space. So you have toilets, showers, washing machines, dishwasher, all these things in a van, and they're just the trappings of modern life, and it's all bullshit. So you don't need all those things. Coffee, lots and lots of coffee. Beer is I don't drink unless I'm with company. I never drink beer by myself. I never drink alcohol by myself. That was a lifestyle change that I made a couple of years ago. Anywhere in the world, opening my back doors and seeing the views of somewhere bleak, somewhere really bleak, utterly bleak. One of the most impressive views that I ever saw, and it's something that will stick with me, I think, forever. I was on a coach ride through Tunisia, and we stopped in the middle of a salt lake, a dried salt lake, surrounded by mountains with nothing but a straight road right down the centre of it. And there's just us in this coach, and we stopped there, and there was nothing, no life, no birds, no one, just us. It was like being on another planet. I think if I could stop somewhere like that, amazing place. My biggest change in eating, when I first started living in the van, I was on a ketogenic diet. So I was living on fats and vegetables and meat, but I was abusing it because I have a bit of an issue with food, and but I like the control of it because you have it's a very strict diet. When I first moved into the van, I was probably in my worst phase of mistreating myself and my body, and that continued for maybe the first 6 months of living in a van, and I was just eating peanut butter, living on peanut butter. It was ridiculous, and celery. So my biggest change in eating has been working at Cat Zero, because as part of my job I need to eat with the participants, so I'm now eating proper food. The subject of monetization I've covered before. I'll mention it again. I don't want to have a channel that revolves around advertising and working to please an algorithm, and it just doesn't sit right with my ideals. But a question, something that's been put to me recently, and I'm going to put it to you, is the money that I would normally make from monetization, if I was to add a skippable pre-roll advert, and maybe one at the end after the end credits, and very transparently make that money available to charity, because my projected income from ad revenue, it could be around about the £1,000 mark, and that's not a small amount of money. Working full-time and living in a van. When I first started living in a van, I imagined at some point I would need to increase the length of time that I would be able to live in the van by working. I thought maybe it would be some arable land work, fruit picking, vegetable picking, Brussels sprouts, all those kinds of things. When I came up to Yorkshire, I found that all of those jobs were taken. They're snapped up really quick. They're just not available. To just rocking up somewhere and saying, can I pick some fruit? No, you can't, because there's agency staff that filling all of those jobs. You can't find them. The change to working full time has been a piece of cake. As long as you have a legal address. Living in a van, you have to have a legal address. You've got to have somewhere to tax an MOT and insure this vehicle. You've got to have a bank account that's tied to an address. So if you can find a legal address, living in a van and working full time is easy. It's a piece of cake. My best stopover is the place that I pretty much call my overnight home. It's a residential street. There's flats there. Apartment blocks are the best places to park overnight because people don't know who their neighbours are. There's all those people in a small space, yet none of them talk to each other. Would I recommend living in a van? Of course. I've been doing it for a year. If I didn't think it was worth doing, I wouldn't do it. And is it for everyone? I don't know. But I think if you're thinking, should I, then you should. If you think maybe I could do it, because you won't know unless you do it. I made my decision really quickly. A month after discovering that van life was a thing, I had a van, and it clicked with me, and it's been the best thing that I've done.
Cool.
To see you.
Oh, hey Louie. Hello Louie. Oh, this is the best thing about living in a van, because I never would have met Louie.